Welcome everyone to the Shade and Shit Talking Podcast. I'm your host TK, and as always, I thank you guys for tuning in. Now, before I get off into this episode, let me first and foremost start off by sending my prayers and thoughts and condolences to those who are in Northern and Southern California being affected by those wildfires. Now, we have seen destruction and mayhem going on all week, and those people have lost an incalculable amount of property, but more importantly, people have lost their lives. I think the death toll is up to 40 right now, or somewhere in that area. And we have seen so many different forms of death and destruction in mass in the U.S. this last year, whether it's natural, whether it's man-made. We had hurricanes and earthquakes and now fires. We've had, church shootings and hotel shootings and all type of shit going on. But, it's disheartening nonetheless, however it goes down. So once again, California, we're praying for you, and we're hoping that the situation gets better soon. My hat's off to the hardworking men and women who are fighting those fires, who from all over the country. They're bringing in people from all over to help with these wildfires, as well as the prison firemen. They have prisoners out there who are trained firemen fighting it as well. So my hat's off to each and every one of you guys. We appreciate the effort, and we hope that it comes to an end very soon. So on this episode, I decided to do a rewind episode, to go back and visit some of the stories that I talked about throughout the year, since we've been doing this since April, May, or whatever. This week we had a lot of closure. We had closure to a few of the stories that I talked about, brought light to, and whatever. So I thought to myself, instead of just reading it and moving on, I would relay some of this information to you guys, because I realize not everyone, is well versed in keeping up with the news and current events and things of that nature. Like we here at Black with No Chaser, I mean, we take that very serious. That's our job. We keep up, or try to keep up, with every single thing that affects our people, big or small. We try to keep an eye on it, keep our ear to it, and relay it to our people to help them understand or get a better understanding of what's going on. So, we really work hard at keeping up with that. And one of the first stories that I talked about in my probably my second, third episode, somewhere up, and I can't quite remember, but over in Detroit area in Michigan, there was a young man, a young black boy who missed his school bus, and he decided to walk to school or whatever, but he didn't really know his way. He needed directions. So what he did was he went to one of his neighbors to ask them for directions. He went onto the porch, rang the doorbell or knocked on the door, what have you, whatever it was, and he was met with racism and goddamn bullets. That's what he was met with. They shot at this, the husband shot at this kid as he ran away, from the porch. Now his wife lied and said that, he was trying to break in or whatever it was. So, and she called, you people this and all this and that. And the husband came downstairs with a shotgun and immediately fired off at this boy. He might have been 12, 13, somewhere up in there. Too young to be dealing with that type of shit, whatever his age was. Well, the man who did the shooting, a Mr. Jeffrey Ziegler, he just got sentenced to 10 years in prison for shooting at that kid. 10 years. Now, first, let me just say, I am completely happy that this racist piece of shit will be off the streets and behind bars where he deserves to be. But I'm also very disappointed. And the reason why I'm disappointed is that I believe that attempted murder is worth more than just 10 goddamn years in prison. That's just my belief. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a scholar when it comes to the law and things of that nature. But I do believe that attempted murder, especially attempted murder that is racially based, deserves more than 10 goddamn years. I'm also disappointed in that his racist cunt wife not going to jail too, because she's just as complicit as the idiot husband in attempting to murder this young man. At the very least, she should go to jail for obstruction and lying, because they lied to the cops saying that the boy was trying to break in, he was doing this and doing that. Well, you know, they were so full of hatred and wanted to do something to this young black boy so bad that I guess they totally forgot about their own camera system recording the whole goddamn situation. So they deserve jail. They deserve to lose everything. Every single thing. And some of you may be like, goddamn, TK, that's a little harsh, man. You know, nah, it's not harsh. It's not. Because they chose that. Now, people who make mistakes, they deserve a second chance. And if you privileged, you get second and third and fourth, so on and so forth. But you know, children who make mistakes, they deserve a chance. Teens, young adults, they deserve a second chance. But when you willfully and hatefully decide to do shit like that, you don't deserve anything but the outcome that you get. And for them, it's prison. And hopefully it's losing everything, house, jobs, whatever. I don't care. You earn that shit. Live with it. So, and the reason why this story pissed me off so bad was I watched the video of the boy running, and I watched the video of them interviewing him and his mother, and it was just, you know, heartbreaking, especially, you know, the way the lady was talking to this boy, like, you people and so on and so forth. You know, people always talk about black folks talking about race. Well, they are the ones who make the shit racial. We are not racist for pointing out racism. We are not wrong for pointing out racism. So anybody who feels that we are, take a long walk off of a short pier, and whatever happens, happens. So the next story that I want to talk about, and I probably should have talked about it first since it's so recent. I talked about these young black teens who were followed, harassed, ticketed, arrested, accosted, whatever you want to call it, at the Galleria Mall over in Memphis, the Wolf Chase Galleria Mall. So these young boys were in the mall, they're minding their business, and immediately, security guards saw them. They followed them around the mall, and then they kicked them out for allegedly violating the on-site dress code, which they say bans hooded sweatshirts, but that is not listed anywhere in the mall on any type of sign, hooded sweatshirts. So during this this ordeal with the security guards, there was this brother in there, a former journalist by the name of Kevin Mckenzie. And he did what we as black men are supposed to do, what we should be doing on a day-to-day basis, which is he intervened on the behalf of these children being pretty much just ran over roughshod by these fucking cops. And for his efforts, he got humiliated and arrested as well. And, you know, that right there, that incident was just a small microcosm of what happens to young black men and women daily all over this goddamn country. All over. And you can go back and Google and see the story play out in front of you. So this man was an ally to these children. And it's very important that you all understand we need allies. We need to be allies to other people, not just pick up the phone and record it and go on about our business. We need to help one another as much as we can. Period. Now, speaking of allies, these four white women in the same town, same city, well, they decided that after seeing the situation for themselves, after seeing this video, they decided that they wanted to be allies. They said that watching that shit struck a chord within them. One lady said that they were all shocked when they saw the video, but at the same time, not really shocked. Because, like I said before, it happens to us all over the country, 365 days, 24/7. It's just a part of black life. But one of the ladies said, these are young men that did nothing wrong. All these men did was go to the mall and wear hoodies and be African American. So they came up with a plan. They met at this mall on a Saturday night, busy night, 6:45 p.m. And they all had on hoodies pulled up. Unlike the boys, they just had them on. These women had the hoods all the way up. And another one of the ladies said that they felt that the situation with those boys was blatantly unfair, but that they knew that nothing would happen to them. They said they knew that nothing would happen to them even before they started. So, over the course of 2 hours, dressed in their hoodies with the hood up, they slowly strolled through this mall. First floor, second floor, up and down, just to see how they would be targeted for this quote-unquote clothes violation. Well, they had security guards to come up to them, and each lady said that each security guard was polite as can be. Walked up to him very politely, saying, "Ma'am, could you please remove your hood?" So on and so forth. She said they did. They put it right back up and walk off. Nothing happened. They said that these security guards could not have been any nicer. Could not have been. They said every time that a security made a comment, they were always very polite. They never became forceful. They never asked them to leave. They were never told they were trespassing. And that was a complete opposite of everything that happened to those kids. And the Wolf Chase Galleria Mall was just exposed for their hypocrisy by 4 white women who decided to be allies. And for that, I applaud them. Because most of you all know who listened to me throughout the months that I've been doing this, know that I have talked at length about the weaponization of white women's tears, the weaponization of white women's fears, the weaponization of white women, period. You know, I have talked about that shit over and over and over. So if I can talk about it when it's wrong, I'm man enough to give them kudos and my applause when it's right. And I appreciate them for using their, for lack of a better word, their white supremacy, their white privilege for good, because that's what they did and they didn't have to. So again, kudos to those ladies. And Wolf Chase Galleria, you really about to have a problem on your hands, because now you have to deal with the wrath of your own, because what we say obviously don't fucking matter. Now, moving on. Speaking of supremacy, white supremacy and privilege, another story that I talked about was down here in Texas in the Crosby area, not too far from where I live. Now this happened back in 2017 at a Denny's, and you know, I don't know if y'all remember, but we don't really fuck with Denny's in my family. They have a very fucked up history. Go back and look it up for those of you who don't know. So there was this guy named John Hernandez who went to Denny's and he was murdered. He was murdered because he urinated outside the restaurant. And this guy named Terry Thompson saw him doing it and he yelled at him to stop. Which is fine, you know. If you feel that it's your place in society to police every single person and tell them what to do because they are infringing on something that's not even yours, then hey, whatever. Well, anyways, an altercation ensued and Terry Thompson murdered John Hernandez. But the most absurd part of this encounter was that Terry's wife Shauna was a Harris County Sheriff's deputy at the time. She was off duty and she met him at the restaurant. And she was there and watched her husband choke this man out. She administered CPR and the man was taken to the hospital and he died later. Well, Terry and Shauna Thompson were both charged with murder. Now, back in June, the jurors were unable to reach a verdict after 29 hours of deliberation. So, Terry's murder trial was declared a mistrial. Well, now, the other day, that same murderer, Terry Thompson, was sentenced to 25 years in prison. 25 years in prison for the murder of Mr. Hernandez. And now the trial for his wife Shauna is set for next year. So hopefully she goes to prison too. They both deserve it. Again, I don't have any type of sympathy or empathy for these people. You chose to do that. You chose to pick a fight, and you know, can't help but wonder if it would have went down that way if the individual who peed on the outside of this building was fair skinned rather than brown skinned. Can't help but wonder it. I ain't calling them racist. I'm just saying, you can't help but wonder it. And for the life of me, I just cannot understand some of you people's need, your feeling of need to to discipline everybody. Like, you know, what goes on in your brain to give you the carte blanche to just do whatever the fuck you want to do or say what you want to say because you feel like it. But then again, when you are born into it and raised into it, you know, just encapsulated within this whole idea of privilege and supremacy, the shit don't go away when you get older. Especially if you don't want it to go away. And that's what this is. So I don't feel sorry for them. They deserve prison, and that's all it is to it. Now, I am, over this course of the, like I said, the months I've been doing this, a lot of things have happened, and there are still quite a few stories that I am waiting for. The two that comes to my head first and foremost is I'm waiting for the piece of shit cop who murdered Antoine Rose. I'm waiting for his trial, waiting for him to go to prison. I'm waiting for the piece of shit who brutally murdered Neil Wilson. I'm waiting for his trial. I'm waiting for him to go to prison. I'm waiting for and it just happened, but I can't wait for him to go to prison as well. The piece of shit who murdered those two black people, innocent black people, minding their business in Kroger after he went to a black church to shoot it up. I'm waiting for his ass to go to trial and for them to throw his ass away. Like, there are so many unfinished stories. We have so much unfinished business that it's ridiculous. And we here at Shade and Shit Talking, we here at Black with No Chaser, we here for all of it. We are here rooting for every last one of those racist, murdering bastards to be taken out. However, because they deserve every bad thing that happens to them. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gather around for this week's episode of Colonizing Nonsense. My first colonizer nonsense moment takes me to my home state, Mississippi. And man, this shit is very, very disappointing. Now, I know just about all of you have heard of this inbred piece of trash, Cindy Hyde Smith. Well, she made comments pretty much saying that if a supporter invited her to a public hanging, her ass would be on the front row. Now, it doesn't take much common sense to understand the vitriol involved with that statement. It doesn't take common sense to know the amount of hate and bigotry involved with that statement, but apparently this bitch has no clue, and neither does her supporters. Rather, they just don't give a fuck. Man, listen, you are in Mississippi. Mississippi is known for killing Negroes. From way back, public hangings was nothing to them. And hell, they still lynching them if you really want to know the truth. So for this idiot who's running for a Senate seat, by the way, for her to make this statement just shows how stupid she really is. But hold on, there's more. Now, most of you thought, man, this bitch can't get any more stupid than what she is right now. Sydney said, hold my goddamn Coors Light. Well, today it came out that she made a statement pretty much going for voter suppression. She's all in for it. She made a statement, and her camp is saying that it's a joke, but come on, man. We all know better than that. So this idiot said that, and I quote, it was a great idea to make it harder for some people to vote. Oh man, with all the shit going on in Florida and Georgia, this bitch came out and just pretty much said, hey, fuck it, voter suppression is where it's at, let's do it. Man, we got to do better, Mississippi. Please, on November 27th, on that runoff, do not vote this bitch in. Go for Mike Espy. Since she like to be on the front row of shit, November 27th, y'all put her ass in the front row of the goddamn unemployment office. This bitch is stupid. My next colonizer nonsense moment takes me to Lynchburg, Virginia. On a side note, that city name scares the shit out of me, and I probably would never visit that son of a bitch. Anyways, headline: Sam's employee asked to retake photo with Black Panther shirt after member complains. Oh man, shit. I swear, man, they are so oppressed. So, a local man who worked for Sam for 10 whole years, was rewarded for his hard work with a spot on the Employee of the Month wall at the local Sam's Club. Now this guy, T.C. Daniels, like I said, has been there for 10 years. And people who work with him and other customers say he has a positive attitude and a willingness to help each other. And that's what landed him as the Employee of the Month. Well, he took a picture with a Black Panther t-shirt on. Matter of fact, I got the same goddamn t-shirt, and it's very comfortable, I might add. So, after seeing his picture on the wall, a customer complained and said that it was racist. And they said, and I quote, "How would we feel if they wore a KKK shirt?" Oh, come on. Man, y'all can't be this stupid, man. Listen, look, listen, white people. Black Panther is a goddamn movie from a comic book that was written by a white man. It has nothing to do with the actual Black Panthers. Please stop the ignorance. Come on, man. So, anyways, pretty much Sam said those people are fucking idiots and they standing by this brother and they not really tripping. But he said he would not retake the photo with a different shirt on, but he would retake the photo only if he can show the whole goddamn shirt. Man, I swear, we living in the last days with some of these dumbass people. My final colonizer nonsense moment, it isn't a story per se or action per se just yet, just basically a thought. And that thought is, Hillary Clinton, please go away. Now, a story came out that Hillary is saying that she will run for president in 2020. Man, listen, we tired. We motherfucking tired. We don't want no more. You didn't win. You're not gonna win in 2020. Just give it up, man. It's time for some new goddamn blood. You and your goddamn husband have done quite enough. It's time to move on. Get your money, stack your bread, and go the fuck on, Hillary. We tired. We don't want it more. Please, whoever advises her, advise her to go the fuck home and stay. Please. This week in sports starts us off in the NBA. And man, once again, that was some smoke in the city. Since the opening tip-off of the season, these players have been at odds completely. I'm talking about they've been at odds like the Hatfields and the McCoys. They've been at odds like the Crips and Bloods. Man, these niggas been at odds like Cindy Hyde-Smith and Common Sense. But I digress. Listen, over in Golden State, you had a situation that finally reached the head and blew up in front of the world. Draymond dunking from Shrek Green and Kevin Slenderman Durant got into it, and they say the sparks was flying like the 4th of July. Now, the stories that I've read said that Draymond Green called Kevin Durant all type of bitches and went so far as to threaten to brush this nigga's hair forcefully. Now, Durant didn't take that shit too lightly. All 87 pounds of him said, "Fuck you, that's why I'm leaving. Y'all need me, I don't need y'all." And that's true, cause Draymond talking all that shit, telling KD he need to leave. But I distinctly remember back in the day him calling from the parking lot after LeBron James and them beat the shit out of Golden State historically and asked KD for help. Now, whatever happened in the locker room had to be bad enough for the team to suspend Draymond Green without pay, and he didn't like that shit at all. Now, I don't know what's gonna happen from here, but I tell you what,
everything in Golden State ain't all good, and they better hurry up and get Steph Curry back before that shit fall apart. Elsewhere in the NBA, the Houston Rockets, whom I said was gonna win at 6 last year, but fucking Chris Paul can't stay healthy at all. I think the nigga's a hypochondriac, but whatever. So the Rockets decided to part ways with Carmelo Anthony. And man, this nigga have been getting roasted. I'm talking about roasted. So the Rockets, in the middle of a funk, losing game after game, decided, fuck it, it's his fault. Let's get rid of that nigga. He's the reason why we losing. And at first I was like, well, I don't know. But after getting rid of him, they have went on a tear, winning the last 3 games. So he might have been the problem. Now, as far as Carmelo, I don't know where he goes from here. But my guess, after seeing Lala bust it open for a real one on Power, he'd take his ass home. At least I would. Over in the NFL, you had a highly anticipated game between 2 9-1 teams, the Kansas City Chiefs and the LA Rams, scheduled to take place down in Mexico City this week. Well, after pictures of the field surfaced, the NFL said, we ain't playing on that shit, and canceled the game and moved it to LA. Now, I don't know if you guys seen the pictures of that field, but that motherfucker is terrible. Just plain terrible. I'm talking about that field looks like the field from The Longest Yard. Nah, that field was worse than the field from the movie Sandlot, with washing machines, potholes, and everything else in it. Nah, that field was worse than the field from the movie Wildcats. And if you ain't seen it, go look it up. That field was a piece of shit. Now, I don't know who was in charge of taking care of the field, but whoever it was obviously found a stash of Jose Cuervo and Don Julio and really got after it. Now, my sources tell me that after they found out who did it and got ready to fire his ass, on the way out the door, he left him with the middle finger and said, "Vete a la mierda y ese campo." Elsewhere in the NFL, the saga is finally over and done with, and everybody can move on. Le'Veon Bell, who had been sitting out all year because he didn't want to play under the $14.5 million franchise. $14.5 million? Damn. Anyways, he didn't want to play on the franchise tag because he was worried about getting hurt and getting fucked over by the Pittsburgh Steelers, which I can't even blame him. Well, he had until Tuesday to report to the team or he will not be able to play again this year. And he said, man, look, I'm all about my money, big money, not that small time shit. I want some guaranteed bread. Y'all didn't want to give it to me, so guess what?
Fuck that. Pay me.
Now, in response to this, the team decided to move on, and the players in the locker room ransacked his locker, took all this shit. Damn, that's how much they cared about you, my nigga. Didn't even wait for the ink to dry before they got your shit. But in the end, it worked out for both teams. The Steelers got James Conner, who's running the ball quite well and about to lead me to 2 fantasy league championships and some bread. And Le'Veon Bell about to get broke off. At least 50 plus million guaranteed, so it's a win-win for everybody. And finally, in boxing news, Floyd Mayweather, I'm sick of this nigga. He has said that the fight is back on, but it ain't really a fight. It's just an exhibition. He's supposed to take on Nakasawa in a mixed bout where there's no fighting other than boxing, which works out for him because Nakasawa been kicking niggas' heads off left and right. Now, this isn't a real fight per se. It's just an exhibition where Floyd's gonna get even more money than what he already has. So I ain't mad at you, bro. Get that bread. But if it comes to real fighting, sit your ass down and stay at the house. This week's episode of the Sports Rundown has been brought to you by the fine folks over at Hennessy. I drank it and it fuels my thoughts. I will see you guys next week. This week in hip-hop history, I start off with none other than Mr. Robert Earl Davis Jr., better known as DJ Screw. Now, he died on November the 16th in 2000. He was found dead in his studio. Now, most of you may not be familiar with DJ Screw, but he is the pioneer of the screwed and chopped music that came out of Texas. That's the reason why they call it Screwston, Texas. This man made a way for a lot of artists. One of my favorite artists out of his camp was none other than Lil Keke, and he ushered in a new era of music, and he is well loved and well respected in the game, especially
especially in Houston, Texas. So once again, shout out to the one and only legendary Mr. DJ Screw. Now also in this week in hip hop, we had a lot of things to go down. The Beastie Boys, they released their debut album November 15th, 1986, called License to Ill. Now it was released by Def Jam and Columbia Records, and it became the first rap LP to top the Billboard album chart. It is also one of Columbia Records' fastest selling debut records to date, and it was also certified diamond by the Recording Industry Association of America back in 2015 for shipping over 10 million copies in the United States. God damn. I actually remember this album. I was too young to go buy it, but it was pretty tight. I remember Paul Revere, and I remember You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party. I remember Brass Monkey, No Sleep to Brooklyn. God damn, it was actually a pretty dope album. Also, this week in hip hop, Method Man, who is one of my favorite all-time rappers, Method Man of the Wu-Tang Clan, he also came out with his debut album November the 15th back in 1994. It was released by Def Jam Records. It was also the first solo album released by a Wu-Tang member after the group debuted with Enter the Wu back in the day. It was produced by RZA. Of course, it had guest appearances from all of the Wu-Tang. RZA, Raekwon the Chef, Inspector Deck, and it was a pretty dope album as well. One of the best songs of the album, and one of my favorite songs was God, I'll Be There For You. You're All That I Need to Get By with Mary J. Blige. Dope album. Dope. So shout out to Method Man, who's still in the game. He's pretty much acting now, but he has been a part of some classic shit, and a very underrated lyricist and artist. Now, this week, we also want to send our condolences to one of my favorite entertainers, period. Diddy, Sean P. Diddy, Combs, Puff Daddy, whatever he goes by. Hell, I don't know. But a couple days ago, he found out, or he lost his mother of three of his children. She died at the hospital at 47 years old. My condolences to him, as well as her name was Kim Porter, by the way. My condolences to him, their children. They had twin girls and a son, and I feel bad for any child that loses their mother at 12 years old. So, condolences to the entire Combs family, Porter family, and everyone who knew Kim and loved Kim. Well, we've reached the end of another wonderful and exciting episode, at least to me it was, of the Shade of Shit Talking podcast. And as always, I would like to thank each and every one of you for the support, for the love, for the shares, the encouragement, and everything in between. Now, there's a couple things that I wanted to touch on before I got out of here. One is to just mention the prison reform that Orange
comrade is working on that I will be going into next week when more details come out. You know, it could be a good thing. I don't see why not, but we'll see, because we know how he roll. Also, next week we will be celebrating as a nation the slaughter and genocide of the native people for Thanksgiving. Now, I ain't gonna go all off into it, because I'm gonna still have my beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, ham, you name it. But still, we call it what it is, and that's what it is. Also, I want to invite each and every one of you to go to our Black with No Chaser website. That's www.blackwithnochaser.com, and check out our new forum where we are free to exercise our freedom of speech, exercise our blackness, everything about us that make us what we are, our unapologetic nature, so on and so forth, where we hit you with the real uncut of our lives. So go check that out, as well as our sister program, MMIG, that's Melanated Millennials Investment Group. Once again, I want to send my condolences and send my prayers to those over in California that's dealing with the wildfires. We are here for you. We have your back. There will be plenty of fundraisers and whatnot going on to help those victims. So with that being said, again, I thank each and every one of you for tuning in, and I look forward to speaking with you guys next week.
Oh, thank you.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.